We are doing a solder practice kit today. I've got two right here that I've had for way too long. I got both of these from RGRS. Today we're going to be doing this one. This is a fidget spinner that I believe lights up because honestly, there's no need for electronics in a fidget spinner. But the reason why I wanted to show both of these off is because I've been wanting to do a live stream where I do a solder practice kit live, but I also want to be able to do it where I can schedule it so people have the opportunity to buy the kit and then we do it together while I'm live. And I know that it's going to be hard to coordinate with a bunch of people, but it would be cool just so like if you're doing it alongside of me and you have a question or something's not working out for you, whatever, then I can hopefully answer that question live. Because even though I try my best to answer all of people's comments and questions about different mod kits and soldering and all that stuff, I just don't have time for that as much as I'd love to help everybody. And like I have my Discord help section, but even then, most of the time, I'm not the one that's helping people because I just physically cannot help everyone. So my thought is I do this mostly unedited today, and then another day we'll do this one, and we'll see what people think. I'll probably like run a poll or something. If there's enough people who want to do this alongside of me in a live stream, then I'll do it. I'll set a date and we'll do it live. Otherwise, I might just do another video of me doing this like I have done this one, depending on how this one goes too. I don't know. But these have been taking up space in a drawer, and I just did some spring cleaning in January. And so we're going to do these, and then honestly, I'll probably get rid of this. I don't know if I'll keep the fidget spinner. But from here on out, it will be pretty unedited content. So sit back, relax, watch me do some soldering, and we'll have some fun. There's still going to be like editing for cutting out my awkward silences and stuff. But once we actually get the soldering iron out, I don't know how much I'm going to edit. Okay, phew. It does come with batteries. I was worried that these wouldn't come with batteries, but also I've had these kits for a couple years now, so these batteries might just be dead. We'll see. Hopefully they won't be. If they are, I'll go and get new batteries and add in a clip of it working at the end, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get this all to work. I can't open this stupid bag though. That's a lot of things going everywhere. Now, I have no formal training with soldering. I've learned everything that I know by watching other people online. So there's a chance that I might say something wrong. That's why I've never made a video about like soldering 101 or anything, because I just don't feel qualified to do it. And if I'm being honest, I just don't want to have to read all of the armchair experts' comments saying how wrong I am. So even though I'm probably going to get those comments still on this video, and if I do a live stream with this, this is how I'm doing it for now. I'm not going to tout this as learning to solder or anything, but following along with me, you should be able to, well, learn to solder. And you may not be doing it the best way, but you'll be doing it the way that I do it and the way I've been doing it for years. And nothing has gone completely wrong for me. Not yet. There's no actual instructions for this thing. At least I don't think there is. Maybe that's what this QR code is. Don't scan random QR codes though. It's not a good idea. But I'm doing it so you don't have to. It looks like everything is listed on the board, but the QR code that is on the package will lead you to this little tutorial that is not in English. It is really not in English. Man, okay. That's fine. Okay, let's start doing this. So right here, we've got our board, and we're going to start with the button, apparently. That is what they show in the tutorial. I'll probably just follow along with this tutorial. It's what I do for most everything that I do on this channel, is I have the tutorial pulled up, the written tutorial, and then I will just follow along with that and pretend I know exactly what I'm doing. The majority of the time I do know enough about what I'm doing. But anyways, We're gonna zoom in, and I like to turn my soldering iron to 300 degrees Celsius because I'm using some lead-free solder. And this is the solder that I'm using. I will list some similar solder as well as my starting kit, my solder beginner soldering kit that I like to promote because it's the one that I use and it did me good for a while. But I have a nicer soldering iron, a nice compact slim one. I do have my problems with this, but the starter kit will come with almost everything you need and more. And it's like 25 bucks, maybe 30 bucks. It's pretty darn good. But I will also link the solder, similar solder to what I use. I get this from Home Depot, so I can't really link it. I don't know. I don't think there's a Home Depot listing. There might be. And then I'll link the flux that I use because I like this stuff. Anyways, I was gonna put some flux down because I like to use flux. I used to like to use a lot of flux, but let's do it the proper way here. Let's teach you how to do it. Now that our soldering iron is up to temperature, yours might not have a temperature reading on it, but if you give it like 30 seconds or so, it should be up to temperature. I'm gonna put my iron down right where I'm gonna solder, and then I'm gonna push not into my soldering iron, but into the spot that I'm soldering, which is kind of hard to do, but you let it heat up and then you push into the spot you want to solder, not into the iron, even though it works both ways. It's fine. That is the correct way to solder. I'm going to take my tweezers and grab our button. I'm going to place it over this way. It does not matter the orientation. And I'm just going to heat that pad up, then heat the other pad up. And I'm actually going to press down on the button and then lift up. And then I'm going to go back over to this side while pressing down the button and lift up. When I say pressing down the button, you don't actually have to press the button down, just holding the whole unit down. So we want to make sure that this is nice and flat. I guess I can try and do this whole thing without flux and then see where I start to need it. But I'm going to put my iron down. It's kind of hard to... I lifted it up for a second because I'm trying to find a way that I can heat up the iron and just hit the part of the button that I'm soldering to. But it's kind of hard to because there's just not much space. But either way, it really doesn't matter if you just put the solder into your iron. It's just not going to be as good of a connection. It's not going to be as shiny. But I've never really had any actual problems with it. I am now going to use flux. Just put a little bit down there. Can't really use too much, but put a little bit down there to clean up my solder joint. And I'll do it over here. Why not? Okay, our button is down. Make sure I did that to the correct side, and I believe I did. Okay. Next up, we're going to be doing our 1K resistors. So we're going to flip this over, and on our board it says 1K, 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 and then there's another 1K over here on the R2 position. Now, as far as I'm aware, it does not matter which side your resistor is on. Like you can put it either way, this way, or this way. It does not matter. So I'm not too worried about it. But we can see on this tape here, these are our 1K resistors, these 5. And look at that, we've got 5 to put in. So I'm going to rip these out of their tape. And then I'm going to stick it in like this. And then I'm going to wrap the other side over and stick it through the hole. and then pull it through till it's hopefully nice and flat. I'm actually going to unplug and turn off my soldering iron just because I don't have the best soldering iron holder. Mine is literally just this, and it's not the best. If I had like a full soldering station, then I would just put it into its little holder. If you have a decent holder that you don't think is going to fall over and let the soldering iron burn your house down, then you can just put it in the holder for the time being. But I'm just turning mine off and putting it off to the side for now because it's a little easier to put all of these components through when we have both hands able to put these resistors in. So I'm going to take the rest of these out and we're going to put them through all of the holes. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for this, just a wee bit, and pull and push through. It's going to get a little bit tougher to do this as we get more of these in here, but I promise it'll be all right. Got 2 more over here. Just pull them all out, I guess. Could bend it over my finger here and then probably stick both sides through at the same time. Might make it a little easier. I haven't done I really haven't done any solder practice kits. So, in fact, I don't deal with a lot of through hole soldering as much as I deal with SMD stuff, which it would be nice to do an SMD kit. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Maybe if this, I could turn this into a series where I do a solder kit a month. Probably not, because that would be a little expensive, but maybe every 2 or 3 months, maybe once a quarter, I could do one. But I think this kit was only like $15. The other one's like $20. You can use code Jake to save 10% at Retro Game Repair Shop. And then we've got the last one that'll go right over here. Honestly, I'm tempted to just go and install all of the resistors and just do it all at once. Maybe after this set of resistors, that's what we'll do. I am just following the guide, the written guide directly. So we'll put all of this down here, and then we will start with the singular one, just so it's maybe a little easier to see. Turning my soldering iron back on, we are going to do pretty much exactly what we did for the button, but instead, apparently, my soldering iron's doing the thing where it the wire is going bad because it like bends where you plug it in, so I need to get another new wire for it. I don't really want to, but I'm going to actually clean my iron real quick. I have one of these style cleaners, which is like just a bunch of metal stuff that I put my iron into while it's on, and then it cleans the tip. Your soldering iron will probably come with a sponge. If it doesn't have anything to clean it, you can just use a sponge that you have in your household, get it wet, and while the iron is on, you can just wipe it off. I would make sure that there's no like cleaners or anything in the sponge. Make sure it's wrung out quite a bit, or just go buy a fresh sponge because I believe you can get like a 3 or 4 pack at Dollar Tree. But anyways, we are going to take our clean iron and press it up against this pin here, and then we're gonna push our iron, push our solder, trying to push it into the actual spot and not on the iron itself. but it's kind of hard to do because we've got a limited space. And doing the same thing to the other side, pushing it into that area, and then lifting up. If you're having any issues there, then you can get out some flux and put that on the affected area, and then tap your iron to it until it's nice and cleaned up. Now we're going to do the same thing, but to all 4 of these spots over here, well, all 8 of these spots. I'm going to go on the side closest to me, and then I'll go to the other side, or probably just flip it around, like physically flip it around. But again, press the iron down on the area, press the solder in, lift up. Solder iron down, push in, lift up. Iron down, push in, lift up. Iron down, push in, lift up. And we can flip her around. Father mucker, that's hot. Again, these irons get up to 300 degrees Celsius or higher, but we're at 300 degrees Celsius, which is almost 600 degrees Fahrenheit. It is hotter than you cook a pizza. So these boards will get hot. They are conductive, and if you touch it after having your iron down there for a while, it will be warm. Okay, from here, we can put our iron down, push in, lift up. Iron down, push in, and lift up. Iron down, push in, and lift up. And last time, iron down, push in, lift up. Sometimes you're going to have to wait a little bit for the piece of metal you're working with to warm up the temperature. That's why a lot of people will, including me in the past and me quite regularly still, will push into the iron instead of pushing into the metal because it goes a lot quicker. You just don't get as good of a connection, but most of the time it really doesn't matter, at least from what I have seen in my experience. Unplugging my iron once again, I'm going to get out my flush cutters. These are also fairly cheap, but I think there's a pair of flush cutters that come with the starter kit that I recommend, and we are just going to snip off the long ends now that we're done soldering. We don't have to worry about having a lot of space to solder on. So we just snip all of these off. I think whoa. Sometimes they'll fly, so you might want to use eye protection if you're worried about that. But I think we're pretty good there. Everything looks good to me. And we've got our resistors soldered on. Cool. From here, scroll up, and I already did all that. Let's do our 3 1 or 10K resistors, I believe, which does not have it written on either of these. Oh, we've got our 1M right here, so I'm going to guess that these are our 1M resistors, and these are the 10K resistors, even though it doesn't have it written here. I'm just going to use common sense. Okay. We've got 3 of them, and there are 3 spots on the board, all in the same middle piece here, but 2 here and 1 down here. We'll start with this one down here. Same thing. Push it through the holes. Push it through the holes. And we're struggling to keep it even here, I guess. And the last one. Pushing it through those holes. We'll do that end and then we'll pull the rest of the end there. Cool. And I'm kind of tempted to just do the one out. Okay, this is exactly what. Interesting. Do they just skip over that and solder it? Oh, they get it. Okay. So in the instructions, they're just telling you to solder those on your own and move on. And just telling you where each of those things goes. I'm going to add the rest of the resistors because there's only 3 more resistors. We'll do that. We'll do these 3. And then we'll solder, snip, and move on to the capacitors and the other components and do those separately. But we've got one more 1M in this section here. And then we've got one on each side over here, R8 and R9. Boards will usually have things written on them like this, where it'll say the R or the C or what else is there? BT, D, the diodes. It'll tell you an initial or initials of what component will go here. And like sometimes the value, like the resistor, the 1M, the 1K, the 10K. So it's pretty easy to find on your own once you understand the different. I can't think of the word, the lingo. So that's not the word I was looking for, but I think that works in this situation. To understand what each of these is. Sometimes like these through-hole things, the capacitors can look very similar to the resistors. So that's a little confusing. That's why I like the SMD stuff. It's a little simpler in my eyes to tell the difference between a capacitor and a resistor. But through-hole's much easier to solder to and solder on. But flipping this over, we're just going to do the same darn thing. We are going to heat up the pad. We're going to push some solder into the pad, and then we're going to lift up. And then we're going to move on and do it like 8 more times. So we are almost up to 300. There we go, 300 degrees Celsius. We can put our iron down here, and we can push in and lift up. Put our iron down and push in and lift up. Down, in, up. Down, and in, and up. Sometimes you gotta let it heat up. Sometimes it takes a second. Down, and in, and up. Down, in, and up. Down, in, and up. One thing, we'll do it one more time over here before we flip around. Down, in, and up. One more thing that I'd like to mention before or while we're doing this stuff is sometimes, since this is a rosin core solder, that means there is flux in the core of this piece of solder. So you don't need necessarily to put flux down first. We really haven't yet, only just a little bit. So if you do it the proper way, you shouldn't need to clean up any of the solder. But something like this, we can just put a little bit down. And then that flux will just magnet to anything it's supposed to be adhered to. In this case, I was putting it back onto my iron because it was just a little excess because I should probably wipe my iron down. But it's fine. We've got 3 more spaces here, 2 more, and one more. But the reason why I'm bringing up the rosin core is because sometimes when you're pushing the solder in and melting it, the flux will kind of pop and it'll pop onto your fingers. I've never had it pop into my eyes. It's not that crazy and explosive. Not to say that that can't happen, but it's never happened to me in the 4 years that I've been doing this. Things that have flown into my eyes is solder balls that go flying for other reasons, mainly because of my stupidity. I've never actually had solder go into my eye, thankfully. But also other things like this. Sometimes the flush cutters will send things flying at breakneck speeds, and you want to be careful. In this instance, I am not having anything fly, which is nice. I've flush cut a lot of L and R buttons on Game Boys and have things flying like that, but way, way worse because they're thicker and they can hurt. So, like when you see me trim cart slot pins on a Game Boy Color, I usually cover it with something like a paper towel. And even then, those suckers can fly into the paper towel and push it into your hand, and it hurts. But I'm going off on too many tangents. The flux can pop from the rosin core, and it will like touch your skin, and it'll like sting for a half a second, but it's nothing to worry about. It's like sparks flying when you're I am totally blanking on more words. Doing this that I'll put up on screen because I can't think of the word that I want to use here. It's not anything to be too worried about, even though it looks scary. You'll just be like, what was that? And then you look, and there'll be like a yellow ball of dried flux on your finger. It happens to me a lot. It's nothing to worry about. I would worry about not touching the hot soldering iron to your finger directly, because that will hurt, and that will hurt for a while. Thankfully, it's so warm that as long as it's only for like a half a second, you won't actually like cut yourself open. It will remelt your skin, and you won't have to worry about blood. I've burned myself like 2 or 3 times with the soldering iron. It's usually fine. It just stings. But don't touch the hot metal, please. For the love of God, don't do that. Anyways, moving on, now that I've scared the crap out of my parents, we're going to put in the capacitors, which are these orange circular things. These are some funny looking capacitors. And I think that this does matter which way they go in. So I'm going to look at the picture a little more directly. In the picture, it has the 104 mark facing up and like this. They have it just like that. I'm actually going to fold these pins over like that so it doesn't wiggle out. And then on the other side, it's the same thing. The 104 is sticking up. There's only 104 written on one side. So just trusting the process here. And then again, folding those over like that. So even when you drop it, it doesn't fall out. And then we got one more, which goes down below. And doing the same thing, 104 facing upward. And we'll flatten that bad boy out like that. I'm also realizing now that my resistor is kind of sticking out there. I might have to fix that later, but for now I'm just going to leave it. And then we'll flip it over. Oh, that's interesting. Seeing that pad there. I wonder what that pad does. But we're going to trim everything down so it shouldn't matter. We just don't want any of these capacitor points bridging to that. Anyways, I'm going to get my soldering iron back out and back up to 300 degrees Celsius. And we are going to solder a couple more times. For these capacitors, it doesn't really matter for capacitors in general, but I'm just going to show you real quick what I like to do with flux to make things go faster and easier, and the more willy-nilly carelessness that I normally solder with. I like to put my syringe of solder down on both these points and put them on all the points that I'm about to solder to. And then take my solder and I just go boop and I go boop and then I go boop and boop. Oh, going a little too fast. And then go boop and boop. Get a little more on both those. There we go. Look how fast I just did that. Now, that's not the proper way to solder. It's going to upset some people who are way too interested in other people's lives. But I am trying to sort of teach people right now, so I should be not doing the willy-nilly carelessness that I just did. I just wanted to show you what I do, and it works for me. So that way, if you're like, man, this soldering business takes too darn long, I don't want to do it. Just want to show you what I do as an experienced solderer. Not wasting any time. The pins are sticking to my flush cutters. Gotta lift these back up so I can snip them. There we go. Snipped two at the same time. I am wild and reckless. Moving on here. We've got some of these things. I genuinely don't know what they are. I should know probably, but I really don't off the top of my head. We've got 4 of them, and one of them is different from the other 3. We've got 8550 and 9013. 8550. Wow, I just happened to grab the one that's different from the 3. Yep, and checking the numbers on the back here, it is probably going to be very hard to see, but I don't know if I will ever be able to focus on that. Maybe you can read that there. 850 or 8550. Boom. Okay, we can put that in on the board. And the another thing with a lot of these, the markings on the board are very helpful a lot of the time. As you can see, there is like a half circle here, and these components are a half circle kind of thing. So it's exactly how you see it. You might have to spread these pins a little bit to get it in, but the flat side will be on the flat side that is marked on the board. It is that simple, ladies and gentlemen. And just like the capacitors, we are actually going to stick them out a little bit and flatten it down. I'm assuming this is mostly due to the fact that we are going to be spinning this thing and there needs to be clearance. So we're going to do the same thing to the other 3. We don't have to worry too much because the rest of them are all the same. So just get them in, fold them down. And then I'm guessing, yeah, we're always going to fold it to the flat side. So this is a little out of focus and I apologize, but I think you should be able to do this by now on your own. I'm just kind of trying to spread those out enough that I can actually solder it. And the last one here. Come on. There we go. And fold it over. Get all those pins folded on the back there to make things easier. Then, once again, shocker, we're going to turn on our soldering irons. Or you just get them back out if you aren't turning it off every time like I am. And then we can eventually, maybe, 220, 230, 240, 240, 250, 260, 270, 280, 285, 290, 95. Okay. We're up to 300 degrees Celsius, and we are going to down, in, up, down, in, up, down, in, and up. Down, in, up. Down, in, up. Down, in, up. I'm getting sloppier as we go here. That's usually what happens with almost any project is I'm just kind of getting bored if I'm being honest. I just want to zip through all this stuff. I also want to teach because I get a lot of questions about people wanting to learn how to solder. But it really is simple. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad if they're still struggling at this point. It is just a very simple thing. It's just very scary when you don't know exactly what you're doing, and just the fact that this is a 300 degrees Celsius melting stick. And I fully get that because I was there once messing up. I messed up a couple DS lights the first few times that I was soldering. And it's scary. It's a hot a hot melting stick. But once you know how to do it, stuff like this is dead simple. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. If you're this far into this project right here, and you're doing all right, you feel good, you feel comfortable, you can do almost every single Game Boy mod there is out there. Maybe not doing some CPU transfers and stuff, but all the basic IPS mods, you are more than qualified to do them now. It's really not that hard. This is going to be harder than most of the IPS mods that you'll see. I was going to say that at the end of this, but if you're this far, you're already good, man. This far and feeling good. I should clarify. But we've only got a few more components to solder, and we should be done. So, next up, we're oddly not doing the LEDs. We can check our LED. Oh, we can actually... It says on here to check our LEDs. I don't think it's really necessary. But we can indeed check our LEDs. The negative side is the shorter end. I always forget that. I shouldn't say I always forget that. I always question it. So you've got two pegs here. An LED is a light emitting diode. So lights are diodes, and we've got a positive end and we've got a negative end. Not every diode is an LED, but every LED is a diode. It's like a rectangle square thing. Anyways, the longer pin is the positive one. The shorter one is the negative one. On this side, the writing is going to be the positive part of the battery, and then the textured side is going to be the negative part of the battery. So we can separate these a little bit here and go like that, and see we have a blue LED, and it works, and there's still some juice to the battery. Cool. We can test this and see we've got a green LED. It's kind of hard to see, but we have a working green LED. We've got a working red LED. That's really hard to see, but it's working, I promise. And then we've got, which one's this one to be? White, my guess? Yellowy orange color. Orange, red. I believe this one was blue. Yeah, blue. Red. Okay, we'll do red, blue, green, and orange is... Oh, you're not even able to see that. But I'm separating it in the RGB, and then we've got an orange one up here in this pocket. Just a little separation for me. And it might be somewhere in the Chinese of the instructions, but I cannot read it. So I'm probably just going to go red. Oh, I did red, blue, green. Oops, red. I'll just do it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll be a surprise. Anyways, what I am going to do is it does ask to start with the battery containers, the battery terminals, the battery holders. We've got a little line here on the board that's going to be that tab that is going to stop the battery. So we are going to put our battery holder, sorry for the pause there. We're going to put our battery holder in like so. I was just reading the instructions again here. It's going to look like this with the tab sticking out of the back. Is that really as far in as it goes? Okay. And then we'll do the other side just the same. We stick that in there. And I stick that in there. And those don't really stick through that hole very well. So for this, since it doesn't really stick through the hole, we are going to solder from the top here. Put our irons down here and then push in on top. I'm going to clean my iron once we're up to temperature or up to a high enough temperature, which is usually around 260, 270 C with lead-free solder like I use. Why lead-free solder? Lead solder will melt at a lower temperature, which makes things easier, especially when we're removing things, we're desoldering things, but lead-free solder has the advantage of not killing me. So not having to use a respirator or anything like that. You might want to use a respirator. I'll also link a little USB fan thing that I've got. I got it for cheap on AliExpress. And it's okay. It just doesn't hold a charge for too long. But it has LEDs in it for light, a little extra light. I'm gonna stick this in here like that. Sorry, I'll talk over my soldering for the next one for the other side here. But you might want to have your fan going through this, especially if you do have trouble breathing, if you have any respiratory stuff. But you probably knew that going into this. Especially when using a lot of flux, that stuff will smoke up, and then that will cause almost anybody to cough a little bit. But generally, I am working in a pretty large room with a lot of airflow. I'm not too worried about it, but every now and then I do like to use like a air filter or something in my work area when I'm doing a lot of soldering and using a lot of flux. Anyways, for this, I am putting my iron down here on this side, and then I'm trying to put it onto the metal up there and letting go. But since it's quite the wall that we're working against here, going on the other side, on the inside, and then pushing into the metal over here, that works pretty darn well. You know what? I'm just going to do that on this side. I'm going to heat up the outside of the metal, give it a second here, stick my solder onto the inside of the metal, and then let go. And there, we've added solder to both sides, and everything looks pretty darn peachy. Now, on the board, we can put the LEDs in that have a positive side marked on each of them. So you can check the color of the LEDs by sticking the little battery through in between these. Make sure you're got the positive side of the battery on the positive leg, and then you can organize it however you want. I'm going to do it. Ouch, that's still warm, that battery terminal. I'm going to do it in a fun way where I'll find out when we are done what the colors are, in what order they're in. Well, I know the colors because I already tested them, but I genuinely don't know which one is which anymore. I was not really paying attention, and I just know that I put the orange one way off to the side, so that'll be our innermost one. And again, all four of these, we're putting the longer pin in the positive area, the positive hole. Then we can bend all of these pins over just so these LEDs get locked into place. And then, for the last time today, hopefully, we're going to press our iron down and push our solder in, iron down and push the solder in, iron down, solder in, iron down, and wait for it, solder in. You can also just like hold the iron there and then push into the metal until it gets up to temperature. And you'll know when it gets up to temperature because it'll actually let the solder flow. Boop. And boop. And the last one. Boom. Make sure everything, all those LEDs are still flat. Cool. Then I'm going to unplug my iron. Actually clean the tip. I'm going to do that a little off camera. Sorry. And then we can flush cut all of these LEDs. Ow. It's still a little warm. Send those things flying. And boom. Now, if you want to, if you have an ultrasonic cleaner, you can throw this in an ultrasonic cleaner and try and clean up the flux residue, or you can use isopropyl alcohol, preferably 99%, but 70% or lower will do just fine. Just make sure it's dry before you actually put the batteries in and turn the thing on. Or you can use, if you really, really want to clean it, it doesn't really matter because there's no clean flux. But if you want all that sticky flux gone, I like this flux remover from the same brand that does the flux that I use. And that will clean it up. But I'm not going to clean this up. It really does not matter. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the battery in. Slot it in there. Positive side on top. And the other battery, same thing. Make sure nothing's bridging here. None of these pins touching anything. Positive side on top. And look at our LEDs. Everything is working. It's hard to see, but all of the blue one died. Oh, they're all dying. The green one just went out. The red one's slowly dying. Do I need to shake it? Do I need to press the button? I think these batteries are just like genuinely dying. So, I don't know how well this is going to work, but let's zoom out a little bit. And we can scroll through to find where we're supposed to go. Okay, we can take this half and put our bearing in. I don't think it matters which way. And then we can take our board and we can face it upside down with, I don't think this matters either. Do it like that. Then this one will obviously want to have the button side, this little tab over the button. But let me see. No, okay. Just do that. I thought maybe we had to put one of these guys in, but I guess that's the last thing we do. And then from this side, flipping it over, we can put our 4 Phillips screws in. I've got 5 in here. I'm assuming they're just giving us an extra just in case, or maybe it was an accidental extra one. Heard on stream the other day that getting extra screws is good luck. So we can put those in. We can get a Phillips head screwdriver out. I'm going to be using a PH1 bit. And that is perfect. my iFixit bit. I will link my iFixit kit down below, but it's definitely not necessary to start. But if you're going to be doing a lot of repairs like this, I definitely recommend it. I want to try out Linus's, I guess their version of the ProTech toolkit, their precision screwdriver, but it's like always out of stock, so I don't know what to do about that. And I'm guessing from here we just put these ends in. They look exactly the same, so we'll slap that in there, and we'll slap this in there. That is lopsided as heck, but we have a working fidget spinner that in the dark should actually have some LEDs that spin. I'm going to turn the lights off here, and I see nothing. Yeah, okay, look at this. Thank you all for watching. I will play a clip of the fidget spinner working with better batteries in it, actually fully charged batteries, as I outro this video. If you want me to do the speaker solder practice kit live in a live stream, whether it be on this channel or the main channel, please let me know in the comments. I might have a poll or a link to a poll in the comments asking people to say yes or no, or do it as a video or whatever to get a better answer. But if there's not enough people who would actually follow through with it, then I probably won't do it as a live stream, and I'll probably just do it as another video like this. Either way, I will let you know ahead of time what kit I'm going to be doing. I will link to it in a community post or somewhere, and I'll say this is when the video will go up, so you can get it and follow along with me. Not necessarily live, but with the video. I guess you could do it anytime. I don't really need to warn you, but yeah, I don't know. I should just do it as a live stream. I don't really want to do it if no one else is going to do it alongside me. Even if just like 5 people did it alongside me, then I'll probably do it. But I only want to do it if there's enough interest. Otherwise, I'd rather just do it in my own time as a video like this. This is a long video, so I'm going to end it here. Peace. Actually, I just want to wait to see how long this lasts. I didn't even do it like super hard or well or anything. It's actually not bad. It's got some good force, rotation. I don't know. It's still going. Still going. Man, you think I would end the video by now? How bad, how rude, or how upset would you be if I cut it off before it stopped spinning? Like right now. Did you think I was going to do it? You just don't know when this video is going to end, do you? You thought it was going to be when it stopped spinning, but maybe I'll do it now. Or now. I mean, this is kind of good enough, right? Dude, it's still going. That's crazy. Oh, and I think it's because at an angle. Goodbye.